Hello and welcome to the Louisiana Children's Trust Fund End-of-Year Data Collection System Training. I'm Elizabeth Winchester. I'm part of the Research and Evaluation team at LSU's Social Research and Evaluation Center. Our team provides technical assistance and other evaluation services to LCTF and their grantees. Here's what you can expect today. First, I will give you a brief overview of the end-of-year data collection system, provide you with the dates and deadlines, the data entry requirements, and finally demonstrate the reporting system. I will also provide some helpful resources and important contact information in case you have any questions or concerns while completing your survey. The LCTF data reporting system is web-based and designed to collect information regarding grant activities performed during your contract, which is collected at the mid-year and end-of-year. The end-of-year data reporting system collects data on grant activities from July 1st through June 30th. All LCTF grant recipients must complete the end-of-year data report. The information requested in the survey is imperative for LCTF's own data reporting to funders and the Louisiana State Legislature. The contact person for each grant will receive reminders during the reporting period to complete data entry. End-of-year data collection dates. Links to the end-of-year data collection system will be sent to the grantee contacts, and the system will be available from Monday, May 31st through Friday, June 25th, 2021. If your agency has any problems entering the data by these deadlines, we will make every effort to work with you. Please contact us. Because of the success of last year's reduced data entry requirements, we will transfer or carry over some of the data entry from the mid-year reports. For example, protective factors, regions served, parishes served will automatically be transferred from the mid-year reports to the end-of-year reports. Data collection is still mandatory for each grantee. The data requested in the survey is what is mandated by LCTF funders and is required for data reporting. Information that will be requested in the survey includes agency and contact person information, name of program or conference, number of participants by each funding category, demographics, number served in traditionally underserved populations, amount of LCTF grant award, amount of award expended by June 30th, 2021, supplemental funding, in-kind support and volunteer support, evidence-based intervention used, program and conference or event activities, evaluation methodology and outcomes, barriers and challenges experienced during implementation of your grant, promotion of child abuse and neglect prevention events. Now that you know about the data collection requirements, let's take a look at the end-of-year data system. When you click on the link to the reporting system, it will bring you to a welcome and introduction to the survey and ask you, do you affirm that you have the authority from your agency or program to complete this report? You must be authorized by your agency to complete this report. If you are not authorized, you should not continue this survey. Next, you'll be asked for your agency information. Please provide contact information. The contact person should be a person who can answer questions about the grant and information provided in the survey. Next, please give us the name of your program or event. Please note, if your agency has more than one grant, you must submit a separate report for each one. Next, you'll be asked to select whether your grant is for a program or a conference, professional development, or event. If your grant is a program, you will be asked if you are providing services directly to children, parents, or families. This is typically programs in funding categories 1, 2, and 3. Select yes, no, or if you're not sure, please explain. For example, if you're in funding category 4 or 5 but serve children or parents, please describe. Please report the total number of non-duplicated children, parents, adults, and professional volunteers served by your program for each funding category that applies to your LCTF grant. Historically, LCTF has linked participant groups to each funding category. If your grant falls under funding category 1, teaching children personal safety and life skills, you would generally be expected to serve children. If your grant falls under funding category 2, education and support services to parents, you would generally be expected to serve parents. If your grant falls under funding category 4, public awareness and education program for adults, you would generally be expected to serve the participant group adults. If your grant falls under funding category 5, training and education of professionals and volunteers, you would generally be expected to serve professionals and volunteers. If your grant falls under more than one funding category and participant group, please enter the number in the appropriate spaces. If you serve a participant group in multiple funding categories, please choose the funding category you consider the primary funding group for your LCTF grant. In this matrix, please enter the number served for each funding category and each participant group that is applicable for your grant and the total. The survey will not let you move on to the next question if you do not enter an answer in the total square for each participant group. If you did not serve any in a participant group, enter a 0 in the total square. Please enter the total number of families that were served while working with children and parents. Again, typically served in funding categories 1 and 2, but there may be exceptions. Also, please note there are 5 funding categories, but you do not see funding category 3 on this list. Funding category 3 was not listed on any applications or on any mid-year reports. If something has changed and now funding category 3 is needed, please contact us. For those grants that fall under funding category 4, please notice that this category has been divided between question 8 and question 10. In question 8, you will be asked how many people were served or provided services by your grant. And in question 10, you will be asked how many people were reached by a media campaign only, and that's if applicable. This slide illustrates what will happen if you do not properly complete the matrix of participants by funding category. In this scenario, a grant has served children in funding category 1, adults in funding category 4, and professional volunteers in funding category 5. As you can see, each total square is not filled in, and the total number of adults has an error. Therefore, the survey would not let the respondent move on to the next section of the survey. The children's total, which is blank, should be 5. The parents' total, which is blank, should be 0, and no parents were served by this grant. The adults' total should be 5, not 0, and the professionals' volunteer total is correct at 5. Appropriate numbers in each total box is needed to move on with no errors. Remember, demographic questions will add parents, adults, and professional volunteers later. Now you see question 8 with the matrix filled out correctly. The survey will allow the user to move to the next page. Each total has the correctly added up numbers for each participant group. One note, we are now moving on to the demographics section. The survey will ask for the demographics for children and then for parents, adults, and professional volunteers together. The survey remembers the number of children and parents, adults, and professional volunteers that should be included in each demographic section. If you have participants in more than one category, the survey will add up the totals in the categories for you. I'll show you the demographic sections when we get to it. Next, enter the number of children by sex. Please notice the number circled in yellow with the arrow is the total number of children entered in the matrix from question 8. The survey will not let you move forward if your total does not match the circled number and the number of children in each demographic category does not add up to this number. In this example, there are 5 females plus 5 males plus 5 unknown children, which actually equals 15 children, yet there is a 5 in the total. The survey recognizes there's an error in the calculation. The total of 5 does not match the total from the matrix in question 8, which the survey does like, but both the calculation total and the total of participants has to match to move on to the next question of the survey. If you do not know the demographics of your grant, there's an unknown option. In this example, there are 5 children in the demographics category that add up to the total of 5, which matches the total of 5 from question 8. Next, enter the number of children by race. Again, all numbers in each demographic category must add up to the total number, and the total must match the total from question 8. Next, enter the number of children by age group. Again, all numbers in each demographic category must add up to the total number, and the total must match the total from question 8. If you serve no children in your grant and your total in the matrix in question 8 is 0 for the number of children served, your response would be a 0 in the total for each child demographic question. You would not need to enter a number in any other category. You may enter a 0 if you wish. Next, you will enter the demographic information for the non-duplicated parents, adults, and professional volunteers served by your grant. The survey has added the number of parents, adults, and professional volunteers from the matrix in question 8 that should be included. You can see the total from question 8 circled in yellow with the equal sign and total written in yellow. For this question, enter the number of parents, adults, and professional volunteers by sex. Again, the survey will not let you move forward if your total does not match the circled number, and the number in each demographic category does not add up to this number. In this example, there are 5 females plus 3 males plus 2 unknown parents, adults, professional volunteers served, which equals 10 in the total. The survey recognizes the total of 10 does match the total from the matrix in question 8. The survey needs this match in order to move to the next question. Next, enter the number of parents, adults, professional volunteers by race. Again, be certain the total for each category matches the total from the matrix in question 8. Next, enter the number of parents, adults, professional volunteers by age group. Again, be certain the total for each category matches the total from the matrix in question 8. Next, enter the number of individuals served in historically underserved populations. Remember to look at the demographics section to see the number of racial and ethnic groups served. Please specify the exact amount of your LCTF grant award and amount expended. Remember to write only numeric values and do not use dollar signs. Also, do not abbreviate thousands. Provide the number and amount of funding from sources other than LCTF and describe any in-kind support received, if any. Enter the total number of volunteers used to support your program or event, if any. You will be asked whether your grant used an evidence-based intervention. Select yes or no. If you selected yes, please name the model you used. From the drop-down list, identify the level of evidence for your model. You can identify the level of evidence for your model from a program clearinghouse, such as What Works or Blueprints Clearinghouse may help identify your model's level of evidence. Were modifications made to your proposed intervention? Yes or no? If you answer yes, please describe the modifications to your intervention. The next question asks if your agency staff were trained in the intervention before implementation. Yes or no? Select the activities and services offered by your program. Select all that apply. Next, describe how activities and services were delivered by your program. Please describe the activities provided by your conference or event. Were modifications made to your proposed conference or event? Yes or no? If yes, please describe. Next, select any barriers that were experienced during implementation of your grant and describe steps that were taken to resolve these challenges. Select all that apply. Were you able to complete an evaluation? For example, were you able to measure improvements or changes in knowledge of protective factors or behaviors in participants before and after implementation of an evidence-based intervention or conference event? Yes or no? If you selected no and an evaluation was not able to be completed for your grant, you will be asked if there's any additional information that can be shared on the impact of your program or event on the prevention of child abuse and neglect that hasn't already been shared. Please use that space to share any information that's available. If you select yes, an evaluation was completed, you'll be asked a series of questions about the evaluation and the impact of your program or event. First, select how data was collected to evaluate your grant. Next, select what method of data collection was used. What outcome was achieved by your LCTF grant? And if there's any additional information on the impact of your program or event on the prevention of child abuse and neglect that hasn't already been shared, please use this space to share that information. Select any activities that you participated in to promote child abuse and neglect prevention. Describe any activities to promote child abuse and neglect prevention that has not already been described to offer additional information. Please use this additional space to share any information about your grant that you would like to with SHREC. You've reached the end of the survey. Please make sure you click the final arrow to submit the survey. Once the report is submitted, you will be directed to this web page. This is a copy of your completed survey with your responses, with an option to download as a PDF copy of the submitted survey. Also new, the system will email a copy of the completed survey to the email address listed in the contact section of the survey. If you did not receive this message, then your report has not been submitted. Please continue with the survey until you receive this message. A data collection guide has been created that includes all questions in the survey with instructions. A link is provided in the survey and will be emailed to LCTF contacts. Information will be saved automatically as you enter data. You can stop, take a break, and return to the survey using the same machine and browser without losing data. Once you successfully submitted your report and received the message below, you cannot get back into the system to make any changes to your responses. The LCTF end-of-year data link will be live and the reporting system will be available from May 31st through June 25th, 2021. The link will be emailed to the contact person for your agency. A link to the LCTF end-of-year user guide is provided in the introduction to the survey. If you have any questions about completing this report, please contact us for assistance. We are LSU SREC and can be reached by phone at 225-578-4838 or email at lctf_srec@lsu.edu.